Tech plus A-Spec. That's an all-new trim for 2016, and according to Acura, it's the equation for the best ILX ever. Now, I'm no math professor, but let's take a look and see if this refreshed 2016 model can back up that claim. About 3 years ago, Acura showed us the ILX concept at the North American International Auto Show. Now back then, a lot of enthusiasts and consumers questioned Acura's decision to bring another Civic-based compact entry-level luxury sedan back into their lineup. Now those of you who can remember, the original Integra is what made Acura what it is today with a lot of enthusiasts and younger buyers. So with the all-new ILX, Acura hoped to recapture some of that magic. Now, when Acura introduced the production version in 2013, it was met with a lot of lukewarm reception. This was a vehicle that barely was differentiated in terms of its powertrains from the current generation Honda Civic, which itself wasn't really a competitive vehicle anyways. Now fast forward a few years, I'm sitting in the 2016 refreshed ILX. Now this model takes a lot of design cues from the very successful TLX, including its all-new 2.4 liter direct injection engine and the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. Now in terms of the design of this car, Acura has made it look like it's part of the family, basically. Standard up front are these Jewel-eye LED headlights. They're full LED headlights with a high and low beam, an LED daytime running light, and even an LED turn signal. That is a first for an Acura product. Now, in terms of the grille, Acura also redesigned it a little bit. It's a little bit larger, a little bit more distinctive. The front bumper is probably where I have my biggest issue. It's a little bit overstyled for my taste. I prefer the cleaner looks of the first generation ILX. Now, of course, this is just a refresh model. This is not an all-new second generation. And Acura did introduce a few new trims for this 2016 model. What I'm showing you guys is actually the ILX Tech Plus. There is an A-Spec Sport package that can be added to either the Premium or the Tech package. There's basically a base Premium and a Tech Plus package. And then, of course, there's also the Acura Watch Safety Suite that you can add to the base or the Premium. The Tech Plus will include those Acura safety systems, which is what the Plus designation basically means. Coming around the sides, Acura didn't actually change the overall length or the width of this car. It's still the same Honda Civic size. It's a 105-inch wheelbase, about 180 inches overall. It's about 10 inches shorter than the current generation TLX. Now, the wheel diameters have been upgraded. The A-Spec model will give you these nice looking 18-inch wheels, while the non-A-Spec trims will give you these updated 17-inch wheels, which I'm not necessarily a fan of the design. I do like the fact that Acura has upgraded the tire size by 10 millimeters on the A-Spec models. Now coming around back, you do have LED taillights as opposed to the cheaper looking ones on the first generation ILX. There's also a new amber turn signal. It looks a little bit more distinctive. You still have the hidden exhaust tips, and the rear deck can look a little bit bland. I would recommend the A-Spec model, which will give you the side sill extensions and the rear spoiler from the previous generation ILX hybrid. Overall, I think the car looks much better, and it gives you the resemblance more of a mini TLX as opposed to a glorified Honda Civic like the 2013 to 2015 models. Now checking out the cabin of the 2016 ILX, you can see Acura didn't really change too much about it. It still has the familiar ambience of the 2013 to 15 models, but you can see the seats basically remain the same. There's a new memory seat function on the Premium package and up, and you can see there is some new infotainment options available if you guys go for the Premium package and up. Now stepping inside the vehicle, the ILX still has a pretty easy step in height. You do have to duck your head because this is a sedan, not an SUV. Acura did change the key fob. This is now the newer key fob that's much more sturdy. It doesn't get all worn out, and it feels much better in your hands versus the older one. Now push button start is still standard on every ILX, so all you have to do is put your foot on the brake and push the button to start the engine. And then of course you're hearing the same 2.4 liter direct injection engine from the TLX. And you can see here the infotainment display or the instrument panel is a little bit different. If you guys go for the Acura Watch Safety Tech package and up, you'll get that new LCD screen in the center stack. And then if you guys go for the A-Spec model, it'll give you the red gauges that were on the 6-speed model. Now, shutting the door, it still has the same solid thunk. The windows are automatic up down for the driver and the front passenger, just like the first model. You can see here, in terms of the overall interior, you do have the new Acura dual screen layout. You have an 8-inch non-touch screen up top and a 7-inch screen down here. It basically has replaced a lot of the hard buttons, although you do still have your fair share of buttons and knobs for the climate control. The materials have pretty much stayed the same. It's still the same soft touch materials, the same silver painted plastic on the upper part of the dash. You have soft touch right here where your elbows are going to rest, and then more leather down there. The steering wheel has a lot more buttons on it, just because this one does have the Tech Plus package. So you have your lane keep assist, your adaptive cruise control settings. You have more switches down there for the lane departure warning, the blind spot monitoring. That is a new feature. But I mean, overall, I think the cabin of this car certainly looks much more premium. Acura also upped the level of sound deadening and the overall feel of this car. Now, looking at the infotainment display, I've shown you guys this before. One thing this is missing versus the TLX or other bigger Acuras is there's no haptic feedback. When I touch the system here, for example, it doesn't give you an audible alert via your finger that it's acknowledged where you've touched it. I kind of think Acura should have kept it on the ILX. I'm not sure why they're cost cutting there, but overall I do think it looks very nice. The heated seat controls, luckily, is still a hard button, unlike the TLX, which puts it into the infotainment display. When you put the vehicle in reverse, you do have new rear cross traffic alert with a nice backup camera that does give you some distance and trajectory, which the old ILX's backup camera did not do that. Parking sensors are not available on this car since there's no advanced trim like some of the bigger Acuras. And then of course the shifter here, which by the way, Acura did get rid of the 6-speed manual model. That is my personal vehicle that I do drive around, so I am sad to see it go, but they did replace it with the 8-speed dual clutch transmission that's in the TLX. There's no IDS, integrated dynamic system, that you can change, but there is a sport mode right there. You can put it in. Of course, there's also paddle shifters that you can use if you want to take manual control of the transmission. I mean, overall, I think the seats are very nice still. The TLX definitely has nicer seats. You still can't get like a big sunroof, but a sunroof does come standard on every ILX. So if you guys are looking for an entry-level luxury car, the cabin certainly feels that way now. So the back seat of the ILX is still the same, somewhat cramped environment. It's about the same legroom as the second generation TSX, which is a little bit short on room. You can see getting in the back seat, the floor back here is still flat. There's still no rear seat air vents, but there is good foot space underneath the front seats. You do have one mat pocket. The seats themselves, they only fold down in one piece, unlike the TLX, which gives you the split. You do have an armrest right there. There is no pass-through for the armrest, although, and then the door panel materials, they are the same soft touch with leather stitching for the armrest. Now, looking at the trunk capacity of the ILX, it didn't change either. The trunk is a little bit on the small side, but its competitors are also around that same range. This is about 13 cubic feet of space with the seats up. You can fold the seat down in one piece, like I said. Now, Acura also did get rid of the spare tire that was in the first model. You now have a fix-a-flat kit with a compressor. You can add the spare tire back on as a dealer accessory if you want that option. Acura made the biggest changes. Whereas the first model ILX was available with 3 different powertrains, they've gotten rid of all of that and replaced it with one. This is the TLX's base engine, the 2.4 liter direct injection 4-cylinder engine. It makes 201 horsepower in the ILX, down 5 from the TLX, and about 180 foot-pounds of torque, which is actually up about 10 pound-feet versus the old 2.4 liter in the 6-speed manual model that my personal car is. Now, fuel economy is actually pretty good. They did improve it versus the old ILX's 2-liter. It's now rated at 25 in the city, 36 on the highway. You can put regular, but Acura does recommend premium. It goes to front-wheel drive only. Acura's precision all-wheel steer is not available, as is the super handling all-wheel drive that's available on the bigger Acuras. Let's get out on the road and see how it does. This car does weigh about 300 pounds less than a TLX, and we can see how that 8-speed transmission works with this new 2.4 liter engine. I'll be the first to admit, When Acura told us that they were discontinuing the 6-speed manual model in the first model ILX, I was very disappointed. I was actually thinking about how I wanted to upgrade to this car when they introduced the dual eye headlights, the dual screens. However, I'll keep an open mind because the 2.4-liter direct injection motor and the 8-speed dual clutch is a fabulous pairing, and it works even better in the lighter ILX. Now, I actually showed you guys the 2.4-liter TLX, and if you guys haven't had a chance to drive that, you definitely need to put it on your drive list, because when you put it in the lighter, smaller ILX, this powertrain combination works beautifully. The car does weigh a little bit more versus the 13 to 15 model. It's about 200 pounds heavier. You can credit that to the sound deadening materials, which at my initial drive, I'm immediately noticing just how much quieter this ILX is. It's ridiculous how noisy the first model was. It really did ride like a Civic. This thing feels more like a mini TLX, and that's basically what I'm going to stress in my review, is whereas the old ILX felt like a glorified Civic, it had a lot of road noise, it had a pretty rough ride, honestly, at times. This new one glides down the road and it feels more like a luxury sedan. Again, it feels like a mini TLX. It's not as quiet or soft as the TLX, so those of you who do want to have more luxury should definitely still check that model out. It is a little bit bigger, it rides a little bit better, the seats are better in the TLX, but this car certainly does a good job at feeling more like an entry-level Acura. Now with 201 horsepower and 8-speed dual clutch, I would probably estimate this car will get to 60 in the mid 6-second range. I want to say around 6.5 seconds. If you guys remember the old 2-liter 5-speed automatic ILX, that actually took closer to 9 seconds to get to 60. So the fact that Acura did shave down 2.5 seconds is a great improvement. Is it faster than the 6-speed manual model? I really don't know. I would probably have to line the two up. From the driver's seat here, it doesn't feel faster just because I like the control that a manual gives you, but this engine does sound great and the transmission is also great. So those of you who aren't an enthusiast who drive stick will be very pleased with this new powertrain. Now, as I said earlier, when you're going down the road just driving the car normally, you really do feel and notice just how much quieter the interior is. The road noise has been greatly reduced. You can credit that to the extra weight for the sound deadening materials. And the ride, the suspension soaks up bumps much better. Acura said they retuned the shocks, they retuned the steering. So, I mean, this car does still feel sporty. I don't have the A-Spec model with the bigger wheels and tires, but the steering is still very direct. It is a little bit numb, but it's very, very precise, and the car definitely gives you a lot of confidence when you're going down the road. You're going to really appreciate about the dual clutch with 8 speeds, when you get it up to highway speeds, when you can use the paddle shifters or you actually just put it into its automatic mode, at 60 miles an hour, this thing is revving at 1500 RPM, which compared to my old 6-speed model, which revved at about 3000 RPM, 2500 at 60 miles an hour, this is where you're really going to notice the improved fuel economy, which Acura says this car will get 36. I wouldn't be surprised to see this car get up to 40 miles per gallon on the highway, and you pair that with the 13-gallon gas tank. I mean, this car is definitely an excellent commuter car for those of you who are looking to have a little bit of luxury and sport and not have to spend a lot of money at the pump. And one thing you'll really appreciate is the fact is once the torque converter kicks in with this dual clutch is everything happens very quickly. It shifts lightning fast. It's very smooth. Again, this is the best dual clutch in the business for me, and it's impressive that this is Acura's first forte to be giving us a dual clutch transmission. But coming up to the conclusion of my review, I have to say I'm going to list some of the positives and the negatives that I'm seeing with this refreshed ILX. The positives are it's still a great value. It looks a little bit better. I do like the dual eye headlights. Not sure about the bumper, but I would probably recommend the A-Spec model if you guys are going to go for this car. Its tech features are good. The powertrain is fabulous now. This powertrain is now on par with what you're going to get with the front-wheel drive A3 and the Mercedes CLA, the front-wheel drive models, of course. And overall, I think this car will definitely make it to a lot more shoppers lists. It feels more like a luxury car, and I think that Acura has done a good job with making this car feel more like it's part of the Acura family as opposed to a Honda Civic or a guzzied up Honda Civic. Now, some of the cons, of course, with this generation ILX, you do still have a limited amount of headroom. The back seat's still a little bit on the cramped side, but it is a small car. It's what it competes with. And then, of course, there's still not much in terms of customization with this car. I would like to see a higher performance model. I'd love to see a Type S model. In fact, Honda is about to show us the all-new Civic Type R at the Geneva Auto Show next in March, and I would love to see that powertrain, a turbo engine in the ILX. Acura just isn't there yet. They are hinting at the fact that a turbo model could be coming for the ILX, but it may be delayed for its next generation, which would be in 2018. I would love to see an ILX Type S differentiated with Acura's super handling all-wheel drive. And then, of course, I would like to see Acura come back to a manual transmission. It is very sad to me that this company, this brand, no longer offers a stick shift. It's the first time since Acura has been brought to the US that doesn't offer a manual. They've always had a manual transmission, and the 15 ILX is the last model you can get with a 6-speed. So I would like to see Acura return to that. I would like to see them offer even more choices. An all-wheel drive, turbocharged Type S model would be phenomenal for the enthusiast market, and I really think it has a place to compete with the Audi S3, the Mercedes CLA-45 AMG. So with all that saying, let's talk about the numbers, the price specifically. This car still starts at a reasonable around $28,000. It is about $800 more expensive versus the old ILX model, which is a reasonable upgrade considering all the features they've given you, all the new engine. My particular tester is the Tech Plus model. It's about $33,500 as tested, which makes it about $1,000 more than last year's model. The A-Spec package is about $1,500 to $2,000 more. So if you guys go for a fully loaded ILX with the Tech Plus and A-Spec, it's going to be about $35,000, which is getting a little bit pricey for an ILX, but the car definitely rides a lot better. It feels more like a luxury sedan. It accelerates better, and it still is a little bit cheaper than a TLX with the Tech package. That's about $1,000 more if you guys go for the bigger and more expensive TLX. So in terms of price, this car still undercuts its Mercedes and Audi rivals by a good $5,000 to $10,000 fully loaded, and you get a lot of features for the money in typical Acura fashion. So if those of you who are looking for an entry-level compact luxury sedan like this, make sure you check out the 2016 ILX. For you enthusiasts out there, you may want to wait for the next generation when Acura gives us a turbocharged model with all-wheel drive, and of course there is no more manual transmission available. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this refreshed 2016 ILX. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you are looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and keep subscribing to our YouTube channel so we can keep giving you more reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.